Number 37, f of x equal to 1/6x squared. Well, you know it's not letter B. Letter B and letter D are going upside down. So that'd have to have a negative coefficient. It'd have to be like a negative 1/6 or negative something. So you know it's not B and D. Put this in your calculator, graphing calculator, 1/6x squared. No need of any parenthesis or anything. He's going to see it's going to be that parabola that's really been squished down, big kind of chubby parabola. It's not letter C. Letter C is very thin. To get a thin parabola, that coefficient wouldn't be 1/6. It'd be probably 4 or 5 or maybe even 6. The 1/6 makes the graph chubbier. It's like it's been compressed. All right, so in your graphing calculator, it's going to be letter A all day long. And if you have a problem with that, pick a value. When x is 1, what's the y value? When x is 1, you square 1, you get 1. 1/6 of 1 is 1/6. If you look at letter A, you go over 1, you're only coming up a smidgen to 1/6, versus letter C, if you put in 1, you go up. The graph is at somewhere at 5, so you know it can't be C. It's a big chubby little, it's been squished down, compressed, so to speak. And that coefficient is between 0 and 1, it compresses the graph. Alright. 38 f of x equal to x minus 3 quantity cube plus 1. Here again, what I would do is just, I'm not even going to talk about transformation because the cube functions are weird. That's sort of like an S on its side, so to speak. But I would just 38 is just put that into your calculator. Now remember where the cube function is. You can hit that little caret. It's like, I call it a caret. It's in the very last column. And it's right below the clear sign. So if you put in parenthesis x minus 3, hit that little, looks like an upside down V. All right, it's right below the clear sign.
Says I can't. Can you wait maybe 5 minutes?
Row over the last column, excuse me. Right below.
I just ate lunch,
between
Brenda,
the clear
though,
sign, the clear key, and the divide.
I know you like to eat
hit
early.
Hit that caret, put a 3 in, and then plus 1. Just grab that bad boy. You can see it's letter C all day long, so not a problem there. 39, I'm just going to skip. I'm not going to talk anything about vertex. We didn't get to that. It's vertex of a parabola. There's a formula for it, but I'm not even going to get involved. You may know it's minus b over 2a, but don't even switch. Concern yourself with vertex. I'm not going to ask anything. All right. Now, these problems dealing with I. You know I takes on 4 values. I to the first is just I. I to the second, by definition, is negative 1. I to the third is negative I, and I to the fourth is positive 1. So I tell people to do, yeah, you can put this into your calculator, but what happens, you get many times you get a plus and a, in fact, let me just do it real quick on mine just to see what came out here. Remember, the I key is the second function of the period key raised to the 27th power. So when I did this on my calculator, I get this. I get minus 3.00 because I got 2 places. E to the negative 13 minus I. Okay? What you're going to do is locate either a subtract or, in this case, a minus sign. Now, this stuff that's here is all garbage, all right? This is your answer. It'll either be to the right or to the left of a minus or a plus sign. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is saying to yourself, take 27, because it's I to the 27th. Divide that by 4, because this I repeats itself every 4 times. 4 goes into 27. 6 times 4 is 24. And you've got a 3. All right, so that's telling me then, it's telling me, the answer's telling me it's I, and this guy here is telling me it's minus I. So what the heck? Let's see. I to the 27th minus 3 to the 13th minus I. All right, so What the heck is happening here? Minus I is the correct answer, which I'm getting here, but not on my calculator, because what's happening here is I got a remainder of 3. All right, so I to the third power, you know, is the same thing as negative I. Now, what happened with my calculator is, I guess that when that is a subtract, looks like your calculator would give you an answer of letter D. In actuality, it's that, minus 3. Let me do something here. Alright, at minus I. Alright, so where's the plus sign and where's the minus sign? I to the 27th power. Now the correct answer is negative I, so this is working out fine. I to the 27th, 6 into this remainder of 3, so that tells me that my answer is I to the third power. And I'm not really sure why the calculator gave me that incorrect answer. Second function, let me pause for a second. Alright, so when you do put it into the calculator, you're disregarding the nonsense. The nonsense being minus 3.000. I mean, depending on how many decimal places you have, minus 3e, e to the minus 13. You're ignoring that nonsense, and your answer is what comes after that. In this case, after the 13 comes a minus I, letter B. All right, so that's a situation. It's not a matter of what comes after the minus sign or plus sign. You're just ignoring all that stuff. It kind of breaks away the bad part from the good part. The bad part is the portion that contains the e to some negative power. Your correct answer is what comes after that. In this case here, what comes after all that nonsense is a negative I. And to double check it, you could have taken we do another one here. Let's say you've got I to the, 53rd power. All right, so you take 53, you divide it by 4. This would be 4, let's say this would be a 3, this is 12. So you get I to the first power, I to the first power, which is just I. That may be the way to go. Just divide it by 4 and see what the remainder is. All right, the remainder, and that'll tell you it's I to what power, remembering that I to the first is I to the second is negative 1, I to the third is negative I, and I to the fourth is positive 1. 41 and even 42, it's just like the algebra functions. All we're doing is taking these two functions. In 41 you're adding. So, I mean, sure, you could put this into your calculator. In fact, the one I did with multiplication, F times G, you have to FOIL it out, that previous one. I forget which number it was. But no, the calculator would not do that. It was going back to number 28. You had to FOIL that out. Your calculator would give you your answer. Here it would. But how hard is it to take 5 and 4 and get 9, combine a negative 8i and a positive 2i to get a minus 6i? Takes seconds. Takes seconds. Number 42. And once again, you got this subtract sign that's out in front of this parenthesis. You know what's going to happen. It's going to change the signs of the terms within the parenthesis, and then combining 8 and 6 and getting 14. 9i subtract 1i is a positive 8i. And you can see that's letter B. 43 and 44 I wouldn't even mess with. Reason being, in 43, you'd have to get involved in I squared and FOIL it out, yada yada. Definitely 43, 44 especially. All right, 43 and 44. Don't even play around with that. Just put that into your calculator. And once again, you know how to get you the I. It's the second function. Second function of the period key. I won't give you something like 45. Definitely not. And 46, you could just put that into a calculator. If it was symmetric to the y-axis, it's an even function. If it's symmetric to the origin, it's an odd function. And if it's not symmetric to either the y-axis or the origin, you get neither. You can't be symmetric to the x-axis because you wouldn't even have a function. So there's a case. Don't be fooled by the 4 and the 2. Yeah, granted, those are even numbers, but there's always a case where you have even exponents and it doesn't quite work out. So I would graph that, take a peek at it. If it's symmetric to the y-axis, it's even an even function. And, you know, if it's symmetric to the origin, remember, O, odd, O, origin. All right. 47. Yeah, you could graph that. And you're looking for, you know, you see that it's 2. Let's see. This is number 47. What I would have done here is maybe rewrote this in descending order. All right. You would have saw that this is a negative, so you know your parabola open downwards. So you're not going to have a minimum point, you're going to have a maximum point. So I already know it's not letter A and it's not letter B because this parabola opens downhill. So this point here is a maximum point. And your calculator will tell you what that is. It's at, it's not at negative 418, it's at positive 418. Just graph it, you can see the high point is located at 4, and you may have to change your window to see the 18 because your standard window, your Y scale goes up to 10. All right, so there's a case where you may have to extend, go into window and change your Y scale so your Y maximum is maybe 20 or so. But I know darn well looking into it because of that negative out front here that this parabola opened downhill, so it's going to be a max, not a min. So I know it's not A and I know it's not letter B. And if I graphed it in my calculator, my high point would not be at negative 418, it would be at positive 418. Number 48, here again I won't ask you this, but what you would do to find a degree, you would add the two exponents. Number 48, the first parenthesis has an 11, and the second parenthesis has a 4. If you add 11 and 4, you get 15. So your degree is 15, letter B. Number 49, what I would do here is to set this off equal to 0. All right, I have something like this. And what I would do is I would set each of these terms off equal to 0. I would say, hey, 2 can't be 0. So I say, hey, either x minus 4 is 0, x minus 5 is 0. I'm not going to write that 4 times. It's going to give me the same answer 4 times. 4x plus 3 equals 0, which means x is equal to 4, x is equal to 5, and x is equal to a minus 3. We didn't talk much about that, but that's no big deal. Whether or not I give you one is debatable. All right. Okay, number 50 is the same diagram for questions 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55. Same diagram. All right. So he asked me for the domain. What I'd like to have seen him done is put dots here. All right. Now, if this goes on and on to, you know, negative infinity and positive infinity, you have arrowheads here. I would have liked him to see him put a solid dot, which tells you, hey, this thing stops. In fact, it stops at negative 7, and it goes all the way out to positive 7. So your domain is from negative 7 to positive 7. There should have been dots there. I wish he had done that. But if you don't see arrowhead, you know, it stops. And the range, well, the range goes from negative 3, this is the low point here, and it goes all the way up to y equals 6. So from negative 3 all the way up to positive 6, negative 3 to positive 6, letter C. Name the x-intercepts. Well, it cuts across the x-axis at negative 1, and it cuts across the x-axis at positive 5. That's fairly straightforward. Negative 1 and positive 5. What's the y-intercept? Well, it cuts across the y-axis right here at negative 1. All right, right here, -1. Find f of 2. Well, when you go over to 2, the graph is down here, and this point here is, I'm sorry, yeah, is -3. You go over 2, and the graph is down here, and there it is. So this is the point here, 2, comma, -3. So what f is, when x is 2, your y value is -3, letter D. Draw a line, y equals -2. Y equals -2. Well, if I drew a line, a horizontal line, and you would see it would hit the graph in 2 spots. All right. You drew a line, y equals -2. All horizontal lines look the same. They're always y equals something. If I drew a horizontal line, y equals 2, it cut the graph. It would intersect the graph in 2 points. So that's letter B. 36. Best way to do it is to go through, I mean, they all look so similar. The best way is to go through each one of those, starting with A or starting with D and working up. It's up to you. And find ones that, have a problem. For instance, letter A says x equals -3.3. Well, no, that's a y value. And then letter B, all right, so you get the x equal, oh, here again, there's no x value equal to -3.3. There's a y value. All right, so A and B are out of the picture. And then a maximum at x equals -2.5. Well, there is no x value at -2. Well, I take that back. Yeah, when x is equal to -2.5, your y value is -3.3. But if you look at letter C, he's calling that a maximum point. Well, when x is -2.5, your y value is -3.3. That's not a max, it's a low point. It's a minimum. So A had a problem, B had a problem, C had a problem, and D is right. He says, hey, there's a minimum at x equals -2.5. There's another minimum at x equals 5. What are those values? When x is -2.5, your minimum is 3.3. And when x equals 5, your minimum is -2.5. So state the intervals where this guy is increasing and decreasing. It's decreasing from -8 to -2.5, and then it decreases when x is 2.2, all the way down to where x is equal to 5, decreasing from -8 to 2.5 and from 2.2 to 5. 3058, I wouldn't give you. What you would have to do if you were bound and determined to do this one, what I would do is to put all the terms on the same side of the equation, and then you'd have to do some simplification. By that I mean you'd have to combine some like terms. So this would be radical x. Let's see if I brought this over. If I subtracted x on both sides, I'd have a positive 2x minus radical 2 minus 2 set off equal to 0. Put this into your calculator, y equals, and then you would have to go to trace, second function trace, and once you were at second function trace, you would arrow down to zeros. You would put your cursor below where that graph cuts across the x-axis, move it above, and then he says guess. You would skip over that, hit enter again, and then it would give you, if you had to correct the 2 places, it would give you 1.17, but I didn't talk a heck of a lot about this, so that's what you would do. Bring both terms over, graph it, and then zero in. You could almost kind of tell, 1.7 and square root of 2 are pretty close. So it's debatable, and I don't think, right now, thinking out loud, I don't think I gave you one like this, because, yeah, I talked about it. You gotta figure out, I'm not trying to, be a clown about this. I mean, stuff that we talked about, it's been a difficult situation, as you can see a couple times. As I replay the video after I've done it. Yeah, I've made some mistakes, instead of saying -3, I'll say +3, and it's just, you think you're saying the right thing, but it's difficult sometimes. I know it's difficult for you all, trying to make the best of a bad situation. The test will be fair. There's 35 problems on it. All right, you got 2 hours. You just gotta have your wits about you, do some thinking, and but it's easy to make a careless mistake. Even writing. There was one I did yesterday. Instead of putting f of a negative one, I put positive one. So you don't see the answer. Go back and rewrite the problem and just see if you copied it right. And I won't. You can be assured I won't test you on something that I haven't talked about in depth. All right. Most of this stuff is kind of a rehash too of stuff we've done before, you've done before, intermediate, and even in intro algebra. All right. So that wraps it up. Any particular, if you have a specific question, all right, just email me. You've got from this Wednesday till next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So if you're still struggling with something, shoot me an email. Good luck.